It's creative. It's peppy. He's got some things in there that are something different. He's not a rip and read guy like some others folks we have around here, including Steve. Nice to have you with us on this busy afternoon as we chat to you about what's cooking. So Sherman might get the Cardinal job. Big stories in New York today about the Patriot defensive coordinator, Priscilla, coming up with the Giant job. And Patricia, I say Priscilla, Matt Patricia getting the Giant job. So from that standpoint, that's two done. Who knows where Josh McDaniels is going to end up? Maybe the Colts, who wanted the chief offensive coordinator. I guess they missed the second half of that Tennessee game as well to be their head coach before he took the Bear job. As we chat to you about what's going on in the world of sports. And here is Tom in Vegas, and he says hello, and he's on Mad Dog Unleashed. Tommy, good afternoon. How are you today? What do you have for me?
Dog, how are you?
Hello, Tom. Nice to have you with us. What's on your mind now? Let me hear.
Couple things. One, I spent a little time listening to the WFAN afternoon drive.
Yep, let me hear.
And it's good.
Oh, you like it? All right, good. Fill me in.
Bad.
Let me hear some things. Go ahead.
It isn't bad at all. It's hideous.
Oh, it's hideous. You're down on it now.
Well, unlistenable. Huh?
Well, hold on. Well, tell me why. Why do you feel that way?
No, it's just horrible. I mean, it's after Mike. I mean, it would have been hard for anyone to follow.
Well, I think that. I mean, again, this is a local story. I don't think anybody in America cares. But the bottom line is that you're replacing a legend. You're replacing a guy who did it for 3 decades. That's a tricky spot. That's a hard follow, and they put 3 people in there, so they really changed the way they wanted to go about doing it, and so that's going to bother people when there's 3 people talking at you instead of just 1 or 2, so that's tricky as well. I understand. And again, if you're a refugee, we're glad to have you. That's for sure. Go ahead. Continue.
Actually, I'm not a refugee.
Not? Okay.
I've listened to you, but no, I mean, you're being kind. That's all I can say. It's really unlistenable. Second thing, I've got a bet for you. I want you to put the mortgage on it, all right?
Yeah, let me hear it.
This is a teaser. Philly, +9. Steelers, -1.5. Mortgage.
I don't like fooling around with teasers. That to me, I probably could have been better off doing it a little bit this weekend. I am not a big tease guy. I just make the plays and hope for the best. I think the play that you would make, though, I think Eric is right. Take him on the money line. If you want the Eagles, just hope they win the game outright. That's a very hard game to call. That's a very, very hard game. Do you believe in Atlanta having this run now, experience, everything else, or do you think Philadelphia? I will probably take Philly because I think they got a little chip on their shoulder, so I would go in that direction. Mike in Sacramento, and he's with us here on Mad Dog Unleashed. Mike, good afternoon. How are you today? What do you have for me?
Doing real good, Chris. How are you?
Hi, Michael. Michael's a Rams fan, so he dealt with them losing to Atlanta last week. Go ahead.
Yeah, it was rough. But anyway, I want to talk a little bit different this week, a little bit about tennis and the Australian Open. I'm a big Nadal guy as well and have been since I was a youngster. And my dad always brings up, the old school days and how tennis isn't great. And I said, Dad, watch yourself. American tennis nowadays isn't great. But if you look at the depth of the men's tennis the last probably 13 to 15 years, Nadal, Federer, and Djokovic, probably 3 of the at least greatest 10 of all time, wouldn't you say, Chris?
Oh, absolutely. Not even an issue. Yes.
And my dad tries to bring it up and say, well, Borg, McEnroe, and Lendl and those guys.
Yeah, but Lendl and Borg really didn't coincide. Lendl came a little later than that. McEnroe's career was pretty much shot as a Grand Slam big-time performer after the 85 season. Borg quit in the peak of his career. So, I mean, before you go crazy on that Borg, McEnroe, Connors run, it didn't last as long as you think it did. It lasted 4 or 5 years. This Nadal, Djokovic, Federer thing has lasted almost, a better part of a decade. It's a totally different situation. 100%.
I mean, Chris, let's be honest. If Andy Murray played in a different generation, he'd probably have 5 or 6 majors at least, Grand Slams. He would probably have won 5 or 6 big tournaments instead of the 3 or 2 that he does have. He's just caught in a wrong generation.
No question about it. He's got 2, and I do think that has hurt Murray with only the 2 titles because of the fact he's got to deal with Federer, he's got to deal with Nadal, and he's got to deal with Djokovic. And Djokovic especially has been a nemesis. Eric in Connecticut, he's with us here on Mad Dog Unleashed. Eric, good afternoon. How are you today?
Hey, Dog. How come no one mentioned Bill Walsh yesterday when you were talking about coaches of all time?
No, I did. I mentioned Walsh. I know, but the fans didn't mention him. But, obviously he's a guy you got to talk about. So, yes, I understand where you're coming from. I mentioned it a little bit. I think Walsh has to be in the conversation as the top 3-4 coaches in history of the NFL, because you got to look at it from a variety of ways. And, innovation and his coaching tree plays a part here. And he had a hell of a coaching tree. Go ahead.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, he sure did. I thought you were going to maybe say that it was the players that he had, but I didn't hear you yesterday say that. Put him in the conversation.
Have to put him in the conversation, Eric. That's a no-brainer. Walsh is there. 19 in front of the hour here on Mad Dog Unleashed. Returning.